sir.
Okay. Right. Can you see the PPT?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
So in this particular session, we are going to talk about the brain-computer interface and EEG data acquisition system using some artificial intelligence models, and then we are going to see how the data recording of a human brain signals can be done and how they can be processed and analyzed and used for some real-time applications, and particularly for IoT, some biomedical IoT applications. Okay. So now, I think I've already explained in the last class, last session, that how the concept of one second. Yes. Now, see, basically, we have seen many case studies of artificial intelligence for some real-time applications. Now, in this particular component of human-computer interface, where we are going to talk about the interaction between human brain and computer, we are going to record the signals of human brain, because human brain generates a lot of data, various types of data. There is EEG data, ECG, fMRI, CAT scan, many type of data. Usually we try to collect from the human brain signals, brain behavior. Now that particular data, now why I'm telling it's a case study. Now at this point of just for data acquisition, you may not require many artificial intelligence paradigm. Once you record the data from this particular hardware interaction, the data we are going to use for some real-time application, maybe lie detection or any other applications. Then we really need all these AI paradigm which we have seen, these bioinspired application algorithm, deep learning, fuzzy logic, and all these things to deal with these typical real-time data signals from the complex human brain, right? So in this case study, first let me explain what are all the applications when we are talking about the human brain, and we take some data signal from the human brain. Tell me, before we see how the artificial intelligence models are useful for this particular brain-computer interface, let me know what type of applications we can do. And what type of applications we can do when we try to address, when we try to understand the concept of brain-computer interface. If I get some brain signals, tell me what exactly you can achieve. If I record somebody's brain data, EEG, fMRI, ECG, whatever the data. Now, what one application can you name of that?
Hello, sir.
Please tell.
Sir, we can identify the alpha, beta, gamma, and depends upon this parameter, we can identify the disorders.
Okay, some mental disorders. You want to make some mental state analysis and all, right?
Yes, yes. This was one of the applications, sir.
Because why I said it's case studies, now we have some real-time problem like mental state analysis. And I will explain how to collect the brain signals and all, what are the challenges we have, what are the procedures we have to follow, what are the protocols we have to follow while collecting the data set, and then how to deal with the data using some artificial intelligence model. That we are going to talk about. Now, like I said, mental state analysis we are going to derive with the help of the brain signals. Similar.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Please tell me.
Sir, can you enlighten how to remove the artifacts?
Yes. I will definitely. I will.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, let me talk about this EEG type. Then what exactly EEG signal, how it looks like, and non-invasive, invasive. After that, there are about 40 slides are there. Then I will explain how the abstract training working happen. Okay, now, so like some service telling it is mental state analysis. Now you can refer like any other simple example like lie detection. I can say like whether somebody is lying or not. Is it possible? Because why I say this domain has a lot of attention, particularly this brain-computer interface. The reason is if you can have an application like what we call this finding the brain signals and telling somebody is lying or not. Just imagine what will happen if I come with 100% accuracy that somebody is lying or not. What will happen? Tell me. All the court cases get solved in a single day. Do you agree? All of you? Then you can come up with a model that's where somebody is lying or not with 100% accuracy. You will solve every court case in a single day. Because now you might see in some cases where the people will demand for lie detection test and all. Lie detection tests are not a legally accepted procedures where it is actually people used to involve the lie detection because just for some help in the investigation process. Courts will never take the lie detection test as as a legally accepted procedure, or you can say based on that some judgment will be given also. It is actually because there are some accuracy issues. Even if 1% error is there out of 100, one will be classified as wrong or lying. Therefore, it is very important to deal with such an highly accurate models, and we are going to see how these signals can be captured. Now, why we are talking about the human brain? See, human brain is filled with what? Neurons, and each neuron, every neuron is getting information from what you can say some electrical inputs from about 1,000 other neurons, right? So what will happen? There is a large amount of neuron communication happening in human brain for each and every movement and task. Now, during this particular communication, what will happen? They are actually indicating certain action potential or certain meaning. So our job is to capture this electric signal and then use it for some this neurological information for some real-time application. Simple example. When I say this lie detection was not, heavily used for some investigative purpose. The reason is previously lie detectors people were using this skin conductance, heart rate, blood pressure, and what you can say your pulse rate. Pulse and heart rate, blood pressure, skin conductance, and so on. So some parameters they used to use to say somebody is lying or not. But when the person from where the data is being captured, if he is tensed and if he is out of the control and he might give some wrong indications of the brain signals, then you might record his signals wrongly. That's why sometimes it is difficult to say that somebody is lying there with 100% accuracy. Thereafter, people started developing models for lie detection based on what? EEG signal. EEG is what? It's electric signal. EEG is the electric signal that comes out of the human brain, and they're going to, because when somebody's heart rate is very high, pulse is very high, then maybe skin conductance, blood pressure is very high when somebody is lying or not lying. Then we can say that they are lying based. But some people who are tensed also, if the blood pressure is high while they are answering the questions, we can't say they are lying or not. But when we consider the brain signals and we say that with the EEG signals that somebody is lying or not, there is a better accuracy. Even highly accurate models can develop based on the brain signals. That's how we used to have. And in fact, the kind of communication happens in the human brain is chemical. It's actually chemical communication. Because there are a lot of chemicals in your human brain, sodium and many other, potassium, many other levels are there. Based on this, some chemical communication, actually, the communication is chemical, but the reaction is electrical. Electric signals are generated. So here what will happen? You're going to capture this particular signals. We don't know the action potential. And we try to use it for some real-time application like So in this case study, you have to understand the structure of the human brain, and then we used to see how they can use for some real-time application like this. Okay. So why brain? First of all, why human brain? People say the human brain is the largest component of the human, largest organ in the body, and that includes billions of neurons. So you try to understand. Just we have observed the behavior of a biological neuron model, how the neuron communication happens, and we have developed artificial neural networks. Just a neuron communication and functioning, we have come to such a high-end computing paradigms we have developed based on neural network. If you observe the entire human brain, which is a factory of all the neurons and millions of billions of neurons. If you can come up with a different type of model with a human brain, based on human brain structure, you can see how efficient. Are you following? Simple, Adi? Just neuron communication and functioning, you have developed artificial neuron now. Human brain is a factory of the entire neurons, containing billions of neurons. Fine. Then what will happen? If you observe the entire computing architecture of the human brain and develop a similar architecture, that will even be very powerful than a conventional neural network model. Are you following me? That's why this particular domain of case study is very, very important to understand. But however, if you can recall, yesterday I mentioned a slide that you should have domain knowledge for every of these particular problems you are going to investigate. We are very good at mathematics and computer science, but not good at domain knowledge. Then you can't do. Now you are very good at all these signal processing and so on, and deep learning, artificial intelligence, but you have no domain knowledge, like what is human brain, what is this functionality. Then you can't really do anything in this domain. You will remain only a good machine learner, not a good data science person. Yesterday I have already mentioned this. There is a reason. Now what happens today, you see? Without knowing which portion of the brain is for what, will you be able to solve a good problem here? You can't solve. Why? Because, for example, you are collecting data from the human brain, whether somebody is lying or not. How to collect, I will explain. Now what will happen? If that is the case, if you don't know where exactly the data has to be recorded from the human brain. Are you following me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Oh, thank you. Now, I need to say that domain knowledge. Now, I am not telling you go back to your every class and define and understand what is the human brain, what is the biology, and so on. So, what is the cell? What I'm not doing that. But this basic domain knowledge of what is human brain and what is this frontal lobe. I mean, how many lobes are different lobes of the human brain? Each lobe is responsible for what? Then only you'll be able to make a good application, right? If you don't know where to take it, because the human brain is like, don't think that anywhere I can take the data. If somebody is lying, some portion is active. Somebody is sleeping, some portion is active. Somebody is thinking, decision making, some portion is active. Somebody is emotional, some portion is active. Therefore, it is very important. It is very important to understand and how this can be useful to see. I mean, where to get the data from. That's why domain knowledge is very, very important. So, brain has typically 4 lobes: frontal lobe, occipital lobe, parietal lobe, and then temporal lobe. So, frontal lobe here basically responsible for what? If you can you see the slide? Cerebral cortex of the human brain.
Sir, one request to share the PPT with full screen.
Cerebral cortex of the human brain. Will you be able to see? Okay, let me share it again.
Please make the slideshow.
1 second, I will share it again.
Sir, kindly make it as a slideshow.
Slideshow, whenever I make, sometimes the slides are not getting moved. I will make it now, just check once. If it is moved, it's fine. Is it full screen now?
Okay, sir.
Is it full screen now?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you see the slide of cerebral cortex of the human brain?
Yes, sir, we are able to see this.
Yes. Now, see, in that slide, we have 4 lobes: frontal lobe, occipital lobe, parietal lobe, and temporal lobe. Now, like I mentioned before, going to use it for some IoT application or something, you should be knowing which portion of the brain is for what. That's why domain knowledge is very, very important. Now you see, frontal lobe is occupies in the front part of the human brain, and it is actually what you can say. This is responsible for what? Planning, social skill, problem solving, decision making, or emotional control, language processing, etc. Then occipital lobe is for what? Processing of visual information. Which means if you see something that is visual information is processed and known, that if you see a water bottle, you say it is like a water bottle, there will be water inside, something like that. Processing of visual information. Whatever you see with your vision, that will be processed. Then third is parietal lobe, It actually responsible when you are spelling the words, when you are having some perception, object manipulation, sense of touch, etc. Last, we have temporal lobe. It's located behind the ears, people used to say, and then here we have what responsible for hearing function, recognizing faces and numbers, and memory formation starts. This is why I'm telling this is very, very, for example, somebody is lying or not, somebody concentrating, somebody mental state analysis, so on, so various applications. Then how to take various data, like you can't switch on the light and expect the fan to move or rotate. So similarly, you can't take data from occipital lobe and then expect this emotional control data to be recorded. Because emotional control, if you see it is from frontal lobe, right? Similarly, like when spelling of words you are making, you take data from occipital lobe. It should be actually taken from parietal lobe, which is responsible for spelling of words, right? So all this should be carefully done. And I'll give an example, see, just for a minute. In I think United States of America somewhere, there was an example. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes. Now, in United States, once there was a case, court case, where where one person was sentenced to death because he was committed some serious crime, maybe a murder or something. Then in the last stage of his death, almost when he was ready to be hanged, that time the advocates of the particular criminal, they went to the court and shown the MRI images of his human brain to the, I mean, placed in front of the court of law, and they explained to the court that this particular person there is some problem in his frontal lobe, which is actually responsible. If you see the slide of this frontal lobe and read the second line, this is responsible for emotional control and language processing, etc. So they say his human brain structure is slightly different, and because of his frontal lobe structure, there is some variation. He cannot control emotions, that particular person. That's what they put in front of the court, and they have, as a proof, they have shown the brain MRI images of the human brain of this particular person who is sentenced to death. Then court has understood it positively, and then the person was, his sentence to death was cancelled, and he was given, I think, maybe lifetime imprisonment or something. But he was not released, but he was not killed. He was not, hanged, because of this particular reports, which was shown the inherent or internal structure of the human brain was not inconsistent with the other general structure of the human brain. Because of that reason, he has committed the crime. Like that, they have convinced the court, and he escaped death. You can see the level of research going on. I mean, the kind of medical or biomedical applications you can derive out of such a complex domain. And this domain has huge future in the next 10 years, I believe. At least next 10 to 20 years, there's a lot of features. I mean, this one. So one should have the domain knowledge before you go ahead. But you need not to be a biological student and you need not to know everything, but up to basic knowledge of the human brain. Otherwise, you can't do it. Because you are very good at all these things, concept, machine learning, deep learning, and all those things, but you don't know the brain. Then how can you, in this particular area, you can't do research. That's right. Okay. Then, like I said, there are various types of data that can be recorded using the human brain: EEG, fMRI, NIRS, CAT scan, PET, PHF, MRI, TMS, etc. Okay. But most of the researchers are focusing on EEG signal because they are the electric signal generated out of the chemical reactions happening in the human brain. Therefore, it becomes easier to see once they digitalize the signal. Once the digitalized signal is discretized. Once the discretized signal is again converted to some data format or so on. Then it is very easy for you to use it some MATLAB and tools of some machine learning model, statistical toolbox, and so on and process them. You can use fMRI data also. Basically, fMRI data identifies like there is detects some blood flow in the brain to identify some regions of activity source, blood levels source. Okay. Any doubts? Okay, I'll go to the next one. So now question is how to record the signals of somebody. Is it possible? Is it ethical? Any technical problems comes. First of all, human brain is located under 4 to 5 layers of your head. I mean, like first we have scalp, then we have periosteum, we have skull bone, dura mater, under which we have this brain safely located. Now, how to record the signals of human brain? Should we? There are two ways. One is invasive, other one is non-invasive. Invasive in the sense you have to open the skull bone, but I mean there is a scab, open the skull, cut the skull, open the skull bone. Then we have this what you call some other ways. I mean, and you directly attach the electrodes and collect it. But that is only for some medicinal applications also. Can we do that just because somebody is lying or not? Just to check, we can't make an invasive method for data acquisition. We can only do this for what? Non-invasive, where we keep the electrodes on the hairs, the scalp of the human brain. Okay? So this is non-invasive only we prefer, where we keep the electrodes. I will show you that today there is a practical session after this, at least for half an hour. We are going to see how these particular brain signals can be captured and shown to the user. Okay, so I suggest all the researchers have compulsorily go for non-invasive method because you cannot make any operations or surgery or not. Okay, and but you see that the electric signal comes out in the human, that is very weak. So we need an amplifier that will help to amplify the quality of the signal. Okay, so the signals usually they are typically amplified 10,000 times sometimes or maybe more. Okay, so it is very difficult to deal with such a weak signals, though they will require an amplifier also. So this is a typical setup of any brain computer interface. Can you see the setup? Now see, we call it a subject or a patient from whom you are taking the data from. If it is some biomedicinal application, medicinal application, we call it the patient. Otherwise, we call it the subject. Now, once EEG signals are taken, we have this brain computer interface, EEG amplifier and everything. Then the control signal will be connected to the front end device like your application. Maybe a smart wheelchair, it may be a light detector, or anything. This is a typical entire system, amplifier and everything. Today I will show the exact hard copy of them, photos of the hardware. There are some online softwares and hardwares are there, but typically you have to subscribe to many of the applications and tools. Otherwise, they are only limited features you will have. This is not open source like your MATLAB or so also. Now, once we can have the machine, once we go with the non-invasive method, then we are ready to record the data. Then we are going to have certain application like neuromodulation. What do you mean? If you see the figure, there is some spinal cord injury or something. You know the importance of spinal cord. How it abridges the communication between the brain and the muscle receptors. And you're not explain, but you have to do that. Again, you have to do some domain knowledge. So here what we do, we try to collect the signals from the human brain, and we try to, make some artificial implantation, and try to, place some artificial chip or stimulator inside the human body and try to bypass the information. There are three types. One is deep brain stimulation, then magnetic vagal stimulation, magnetic. Today there are three types are there. In the figure I am showing one, where this particular technique involves that you are placing an electrode inside the brain, where a wire is running down the neck connected to a battery pack that is used to charge the chip or so on. So this is basically used to deal with the Parkinson's disease, epilepsy, stroke, etc. That's why actually this domain is very challenging. It involves a lot of medical applications also, not only some prosthetic, not only some security applications or defense applications. Next is this, for example, somebody is very dull, is drowsy or what you can say, some depression. To make him active, what you can do, some magnetic pulse we used to make, we used to ease the depression. You can make this projection over some period of time, some time interval. And for some short impulse, magnetic impulse can be generated and used for some real-time application like this. But not every day, or some therapy you can use it to make it. But what is my role here? You can ask. You can record the data every day. Give the treatment, record the data. Give the treatment, record the data. Every day you can do that, and at the end of 3 months, you can clearly see the difference of the signal quality and behavior, etc., etc. But many of them have some side effects, and this should be done with the collaboration of some doctors or medical practitioners. Be careful. Now, all of you see the figure carefully. Now, I am giving some IoT application, some medicinal IoT application. If there is a person, am I audible? Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, if there is a person with some missing limb, maybe in an accident or whatever it is, now we can see that Jaipura is artificial limbs and all, but they cannot move. They are very stiff and they cannot move properly. They cannot function like a robotic arm. So here, what you can do, this is called as a prosthetic device, an EEG prosthetic device, maybe or EMG, fMRI, whatever the data you need. So you see, basically how it happens. The kind of I'll show some small video. I don't know whether it will be. I just play some video. Just check whether it will be visible or not. 1 second. It is getting loaded. Just 1 minute. Nervous tissue. Can you see the video, please? Let me know. Somebody can confirm?
No, sir.
No, sir.
1 second. Now? Objective.
Yes, sir.
Audio is coming out, right? Audio from the file.
Learn about the nervous tissue and its functions. If a person unknowingly touches a hot object like a kettle, she immediately pulls back her hand. Why does she do this? This happens as the receptors present in the fingers sense the heat from the kettle. The sensory nerves in the fingers absorb this impulse and transmit it to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, this impulse passes to the motor neuron, which in turn passes this impulse to the affected muscle in the finger, and the person immediately removes her hand from the kettle. This whole process involves coordination among the nerve cells called neurons. These neurons are found inside the spinal cord and the brain. Now let's learn about neurons. A neuron consists of a cell body called soma. The soma is enclosed by the cell membrane and has a nucleus. There are several thin, thread-like extensions from the cell body called dendrites. The dendrites receive impulses from the adjoining neurons. The other extension from the cell body or soma is a single-branched extension called an axon. Each axon is comprised of a cone-shaped base called an axon hillock that arises from the soma. At the other end, the axon is divided into many branches, from where the signal passing through the axon is transmitted to the other cell via a junction called a synapse. Thus, the information is received by the dendrites and is then sent out through the axon to the neighboring cell. This is how information is transmitted from one cell to another. To summarize, if we unknowingly touch a hot object, we immediately pull our hand away from it. This process involves coordination among the nerve cells called
Did you watch the video, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It was
sir.
visible.
Now, you see, same example you see. In the previous video, what we have seen, whenever you are touching a hot object, what's happened? Your body records some heat. Now, the recorded information is sent via your muscle receptors and it reaches to the spinal cord where the neurological information is encoded and the central nervous system is connected to. Then an impulse will be generated that is known as action potential. It will tell you can't tolerate the heat to take your finger back. Within fraction of a second, everything happened and you will take your finger back. Now here you see the same example. When there is a person is walking, your brain, commands take left step, take right step, left leg, right leg, something like that. So whenever the signal is coming here, now if you see the figure, there is a missing limb. Now the limb is missing after some portion, and then thereafter we have artificial implantation, neural processing, not exact implantation. We have artificial processing device. So that device, what happens? We have collected the device includes, if you see a lot of figures, a lot of cables are there. These cables are nothing but the electrodes. These cables are nothing but the electrodes, and these electrodes all will take the data. If you see the figure, what happens? Previous video, the signals are going to spinal cord and coming back, and again going back to the muscle receptors, and again they are giving the action potential. Here there is a break of communication. Now these electrodes will take this particular data, the wires which you are connected, electrode wires, they take the data and they take it to next level. And next level in sense what? Since there is a missing link, the leg can't move. You are going to collect this particular data and give it to some microprocessor, microcontroller, which is placed inside your processing device. Then you program it in such a way such that it will work in real time by just real time signals generated with the help of the data acquisition process that is being used. Then so whenever you move left leg, your once left leg is moved, your brain commands for right leg. The signals are captured and this particular processing device will move according to that. Following me? What is the main difference is like what? If you can understand, the Jayapura legs and all Juro, right? Then what happens? Here you have to carry when you are moving the right leg, Since the missing limb is there, you have to, I mean, lift it and it has to move. First your leg moves, then it will go. Here it is different. See, when you are walking, it is actually first your foot, that what is the bottom, that foot is moving. But it's the artificial limb, you are moving on the other side. You are moving the artificial leg and it is moving. Try to understand. But with this prosthetic device, what will happen? When you connect the signals and make this particular robotic type arm active, it will move and you will feel like you are walking normally. Normal zebra legs and all, you are carrying the weight and you are going. This is actually what happens with the signals and all. The processor will get active and it has some moving power. Accordingly, it will move. All these things, not exactly like this, but in a different way. So this is known as a prosthetic application. This is your medicinal IoT application. You can develop an IoT device like this, a medicinal IoT device, and use it for the real-time application. Any doubts? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So this
Sir,
is very
actually, one of the
important.
participants, Geeta Kulkarni,
Any
has
chat
raised the
box?
hand.
One second. Huh? Who is?
I request Geeta Kulkarni, madam, to ask your doubt. As you have raised hand, please unmute yourself and ask your doubt. Geeta, madam. I think by mistake he has raised hand.
Okay, no
Please
issues.
continue, sir.
Okay. So here, this is one example where you could only thing is now your challenge is what? Accurate data collection from which sources the exact signals are being passed through and record the signals. That's why again domain knowledge, where you take the data from, that's very, very important. And the signals are being captured and they are being used to control the robotic arm type device. That is a prosthetic device with the help of the controlled processor, the Arduino or Raspberry Pi, any microprocessor, whatever it is. Right? Then retinal implants, like similar way, there is some, like one person has some visual problem where he is getting some or retina is damaged, whatever it is, page it is. You can make you can fix some, fix the cable of the some artificial chip, and this is connected to the optic nerve. So whatever the lens you are placing, the images are being captured and they are fed to the optic nerve, which is directly connected to the human brain. Basically, optic nerve has a direct connection to the human brain. So whatever you see, the visual information is sent to optic nerve or sent to human brain via the optic nerve junction. Right? If you see the previous, I think we have seen parietal lobe or temporal lobe, something that is processing the visual information. Okay. So whatever the cable, I mean optic nerve, which is connected to the artificial chip, and the brain will come to know the snapshots captured by that. And this is just a kind of research going on, not at high level, of course. Still, a lot of people use it. People have not used it. One second, I have some urgent call. Hello. Sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I had to attend some urgent call. I'm very sorry for that. Now, let me present it again. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir. It's
Yes.
visible.
Now this retinal implantation also, similar application we are going to have. And only thing is the data wave, how do you take? Now see, we have a fixation of the chip, and then brain is going to take the signals, and you're going to take the recording of the signal, and then see after fixing the chip, before fixing the chip, and how is there an improvement in the basal system, and how the brain is responding to that, and all those connections you can make it. Of course, there are always problems with these type of structures, or you can say hardware prototypes, but like feedback delay, like see, you just go back to this particular example. When the right leg is moving with some speed, when the left leg is moving, if this particular artificial type arm, if it is not going with the same speed, how it can be done? I mean, the person will fall down. Exactly. So that's why you have to develop an accurate, and the device should capture the signal, and accordingly it has to be allocated. Then we have this what we call. There was a person who has done similar type of prosthetic device and participated in some Olympics or somewhere, I think somewhere. And I think she was the first one used as a prosthetic application, implanted neural prosthetic device she had used. And then there are various case studies somewhere. Now the question is, EEG was developed in 1929, discovered. Now we are in 2021, almost 90-100 years. Now why we are talking about much? The reason is, see, EEG signals were there, for several years, decades. Now the question is what? When the growth of like your computing power we have seen in the last 2-3 decades enormously, then people started working on, because now dealing with the large amount of real-time data is not so easy. Then people started working on this then with a recursive manner. Because now with all these big data analytics and all, people started working on real-time data processing, and then petabytes and exabytes of data being managed. Then people started using it heavily. Now this is very important slide, all of you listen carefully. Now you are decoding some signal. Like I said, you should know where to take the data from, which part of the human brain. Then you should know, like, alert. When somebody is alert, it should be beta wave. When somebody is relaxing, alpha wave. When somebody is sleeping, theta waves. When somebody is in this one, light sleep, so and so, deep sleep, paradoxical sleep, we have different ways. See, for example, all of you know cricket, right? When the bowler is going to the end of, bowling end, then he is going to start for bowling. When the ball is taken and going to start, the wicketkeeper is alert. He is alert until the ball is bowled and whether it is defended or whether it is played by the batsman. Once the batsman plays the ball, he will relax the speaker. Or once the ball is caught, then he will relax until the ball again goes to the bowling end. So that time we have what? Beta waves will be generated because the wicketkeeper is very alert. Similarly, after bowling, keeper will get relaxed, then these alpha waves will be generated. So if you are relaxing, alpha waves, alert, beta waves, sleeping, theta waves, light sleep, so on so waves. When there is a delta wave, means deep sleep. So even paradoxical sleep, REM signals also you can see. When they are in deep sleep, paradoxical sleep, dreaming type, REM signals. So there are all type of signals which we have generated, and see, can you say that like if I had a dream yesterday, can you say tomorrow that I had a dream? See, you are the only one in the world you can say whether you had a dream or not, right? Because how you are dreaming, nobody knows. Now, if you connect the electrode chip to your brain and say that like so and so, then I can say that you had a dream, because when you are dreaming, that REM type signals will be generated. When you are dreaming is nothing but your paradoxical sleep, people used to call it. Now, on the other side, when you have this type of delta, beta, gamma waves and all, we have. On the other side, we have REM signals. Now, even I can say that what time you had a dream also. See, even you can't say that what time you had a dream, because you can imagine that you had a dream, but what time you had a dream, even you can't answer, because you don't know exactly what time. But if you place the electrodes, you can say that next day that was sometime, the time at which this REM signal started generating, we can say that they are actually the signals. REM signal, and you had a dream that time. Why I'm telling you, they're all benchmark. That's why the domain knowledge is very, very important. So beta waves, 30 to 30 hertz, the frequency ranges and everything. Usually it comes from frontal or parietal lobe. Alpha waves, 38 to 13 hertz, occipital lobe. It comes from the human brain. Theta waves, 4 to 8 hertz, usually comes from sleeping adults. Delta waves, so and so, and many other parameters we have. And we have many other applications. I guess maybe time. There is something called P300 speller, a separate signal that we used to generate from the human brain. This usually comes if you see the same person again. If you see the same person again, same, not just person, same thing again, same object. If you all of a sudden, if you see a stranger, you will not have the P300 waves in your human brain. This type of application, not only how can I use it? If there is a person who is murdered, and if you are investigating somebody to be suspected, you call him and show the weapon used, and the person murdered, show him photo. And if this particular suspect says that what, no, I have not seen the weapon, that time if the P300 wave is generated, you can assume that he has already seen it, that's why it is P300 wave, something like that. Similar kind of analysis characteristic in me. And brain is composed of 4 lobes I have already mentioned. Out of these 4 lobes, there are a number of channels are there. Then we are going to talk about how they are going to be different. I mean, how to take from which channel, like in the figure, if you see T7, T8, T7, P8, temporal and parietal lobe related channels. So which channel you are going to take the data from? Now for lie detection, we have taken T7, T8, T7, P8, so on. So accordingly, you have to select the data from. Similarly, we can use it for some game playing application. See, this is known as non-invasive BCI. And similarly, we have this Neurosky application, something like this. Single channel. The one shown in the figure is a single channel, not a big lengthy type of hardware. Single channel. If you see, there is only one channel data system, which we have collected and using for some wireless device networks. Similarly, augmented and virtual reality gaming application, you can use these type of signaling. I think you have done one. Please tell me if you have any doubts. Then I will just go with the practical section, small, just make some. Any doubts?
No, sir, please continue.
Now, I will just play with this. I have a recorded video lecture. I will show them. All of you listen carefully. I will explain parallelly. Don't worry. Can you see the video? Can you see the video? Please confirm.
No, sir.
Then let me share it again. Can you see it now? Can you see the video?
No, sir.
No? Let me open it and then I will have that once. I think I have to open it first. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Just observe how I am recording from some particular person, which is a subject. See, the cap that was fixed on the head is that is easy cap, 32 channel, the white color cap, right? And I am attaching electrodes. If you see the figure, some wires are connected from the that cap. There are holes in the cap that is known as channel position. From the channel position, I am collecting 2-3 channels according to the how many from which portion you are going to record the data from. Then let me connect it. One more channel I am collecting. There is a gel. You see, if you can see the figure, there is a gel I am using. That gel is electrode gel. You have to keep the gel at the particular channel position of the cap, and then you have to connect the electrode wire. It's very, very important to do that. You see the figure? Can you see the figure?
Yes, sir.
Now see, this is the
Yes, sir.
here. If you see, there is that round circle indicates the channels which position you're. Now I'm taking that small arrow indicates here. The small arrow. This is actually indicate the forehead. So these two channels are actually what you can say FP1, FP2, frontal parietal combination FP1, FP2. Now green indicates the channel is ready for recording. Red indicates the still is not ready. So means what? You have to apply some more gel, and you go for this one. See FP1, FP2, two channels are selected. It is fluctuating, which means the channel is not ready. Once you change this one, accordingly you have to go for recording the signals. You see how this is being done. Then I will open another video. Wait. Can you see another video? Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
So I will play the second video. You see, whatever I hold in my hand, that is actually the amplifier, 16 channel amplifier. So these are the electrode wires which we have connected to that particular subject. First I'm setting that user environment. This is how I used to make this one. How I used to connect the wires. Can you see that, right, all of you?
Yes, sir.
So you have to apply some gel. Then in the channel position, that hole, wherever the hole is there you have to connect this one. Can you see this particular channel position, once it is ready, accordingly we can start recording the data once they are ready. So as many channels we require, that many electrodes wires we have to add there. So I will add one more video. Just Can you see the third video? Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
So I'm playing now. See, now that electrodes are fixed. Now the person is ready, and now I'm going to record these signals. See, simple wires are connected to the electrode, then other end it is connected to the human brain. Now you see that once they are ready, now they are not even ready. Once they are ready, it goes to green color. Then you can go for recording the data. You can just see now. Now they are ready. They are not red color, which indicates the quality is okay for recording the signal. Then I can go for recording the signal. Now I'm going to start and show the signals, how they look like. Now you check. You see, how many wires we connected? 2 wires we have connected. See, they are the brain signals of that particular person. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Now you see, these 2 spikes are the brain signals of the person who is sitting on the chair. So I'm showing the brain behavior on the spot. These spikes indicates the behavioral change. Now brain is acting like that. Now what I will do, I will ask the person to blink the eyes for 3-4 times. Then I will show the clear difference there. See, I will ask him to blink it. You see, whenever he is blinking, there is a clear spike is generated. You see. See, 3 times I just asked him to blink. You just see, there are 3 spikes. Can you see this slide? I have freezed it for you.
Yes, sir.
No, so while recording, I asked the person to blink the eyes for 4 times, 3-4 times. You see the spike 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is you can see even just eye blink also we can capture from the human brain. So I will complete this one. That's all. So it is just a demo. Actually, this we used to give for half day, at least 1 full day. But since it's online, I'm just giving the recorded presentation anyhow. Now you tell me whether you have any doubts or not. Okay. Tell me, any doubts? Now we have 15 minutes time for the question answer. Please, if you have doubts, let me know.
I request the participants to post the doubts in the chat box. Or else
Respected sir.
you can
Please tell me.
Sir, to remove the artifacts, EEG lab is more than sufficient.
Which lab?
EEG lab.
See, actually, artifact removal. I think I will show on this one. I think wait. I will show some video how it can be done. Just give me 1 minute. I'll show. Actually, if you have purchased this equipment, along with this, they will give some tools free of cost or maybe extra cost, whatever it is. Then you will be allowed with this. 1 second. I think I will try to show if possible.
Sir, respected sir, to collect the database, which headset is suitable?
Pardon?
To collect the database, which headset is suitable?
Which equipment?
Headset.
It's no. See, the one which I have shown, that is a single channel one. Whatever I have shown in the figure, now, whatever I have shown in the video, my own record sync, that is actually 16 channel. So now you have to decide how many channels of data you require at a time. With single channel, as many times as you want, but at a time you can't record more than one. For example, somebody is lying or not, I wanted to see at a time from 4 or 5 different regions of the human brain. If there is any interconnection, then you have to have that many channels. If headset is the same, now it is a single channel, 2-3 channel, hardly you will get it. Then your data collection region is very limited. So better you go with something that I have shown in the figure, right? That 16 channel or 8 channel, whatever it is, that would be easier for you to record at least max. 6 to 7 channels you can record the data. Is that fine? Hello.
Yes, sir. I'm listening you.
Now that headset which I have shown in the figure, that was costing around 12,000 rupees, single channel. Single channel is not very expensive, only 12,000 rupees, and which you can give it to your students and they will be, they'll be very useful for them. But wherever you have applications of higher channels requirement, then you should have purchased that. Otherwise, it is difficult, because at a time if you can't get more than one signal, it is of no use for high-end applications.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, I think that artifact question related to artifact removal. Now, what we have purchased is that 16-channel EEG data acquisition system, in which they have given brain vision analyzer and recorder. I have shown the figure, right, where the circle was shown with green and red color. That is actually a platform they have given free of cost. Brain vision analyzer, recorder. First, we use recorder, brain vision recorder. With the help of recorder, we used to record the signal. Then we use the analyzer software to convert the recorded file there in some PDF format or something. Those formats are converted to .m format, and there itself we has a lot of tools like some filters, artifact removal technique, and the transformation tools are there. Where there are existing tools, just you need to set the parameter accordingly. The filters and these artifacts and noise can be removed. So the inbuilt tools, they will come with a large number of what we say artifact removal and noise removal filters. Okay, by default it will come with the purchased licensed version tools. 16-channel brain vision data analysis system, recorder and analyzer. You will get all the artifact removal, many of them. Latest filters and latest artifact removal tools you will get in that.
And what could be the cost, sir?
Cost of my 16-channel equipment with analyzer and recorder software is around 12 lakhs in 2016. Now I'm sure it will be 15 lakhs. That time it was 10 to 12 lakhs. Now it is 15 lakhs around. I expect so.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, sir.
So what I can suggest for now, the faculty who is working in the beginner level, they can take single channel, like whatever I have shown in the figure. I'll just show one more time for you. Just hold on.
Sir, can you share your email and mobile number, sir?
Sure. I will type now. Now it's in. So this is my email ID. In case you want, you can collaborate at the problem. And but actually, this requires this. I'm sure that laboratory session was not satisfactory for me. Usually, I used to go on. This one. This is offline one full day. We used to demonstrate how to take signals and all on the real-time equipment that is of expense. That is of cost 15 lakhs. Now, since it is virtual, you can't really feel it much. But actually, we used to do for whatever the recording option it is for one full day. Actually, we have done at least for half day the recording and half day for explanation. Now, I can at least give the information further. You can elaborate and explore. Right? If you want any hardware related information, you can contact me. I should be able to help you. Don't worry. Okay. Now I will show one this one. One second. The small that one equipment. Which one we have seen? One second. Just wait a moment. Can you see the PPT slide of single channel EG6 system?
Yes, sir.
So this one is single channel. Only whatever he has on his head. The single channel data acquisition system headset type one. This was around I think 12,000 rupees whenever we purchased in I think some couple of years back. Same customer, maybe slightly extra, whatever. Now, if you see this one, how many channels? Somebody guess? See the figure and tell me how many channels it is.
8 channels approximately.
I think it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is 5 channel. Is it right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this may be slightly expensive, maybe under 10-20,000 maybe. The single channel is 12,000 rupees. This I have purchased and given to my student after they work. I mean, we felt that we are confident. Then I purchased at 50 lakhs. So all those who want to do and who is interested, they can first experiment on the small equipment and then they can buy the other one. That is my suggestion. Okay. So any other doubts? Okay, I think we have another 5 minutes. If you have doubts, let me know. No doubts? Okay, then we are done, and thank you very much. Okay. Thank you for your feedback.